Coach, when did you know Wade was good to go this week, and kind of how many practices was able to get in before this game?
Yeah, so just kind of follow whatever the doctors and Eddie have as far as the protocol relative to whatever the specificity of the injury is. He has made progress since the Sunday after Texas, but it's been marginal relative to the protocol that we were following. Obviously, 2 of those 3 games were on the road, and so we try to make accommodations and travel with some of the equipment needed. And he's kind of following his own itinerary, different than us. But I think he's made good progress. He was able to practice completely yesterday, and then we have to turn in the
Mandatory report.
mandatory report at 7:00. And so after practice, he went through post-practice evaluations, and then I met with he and Eddie at 6:30 yesterday.
And a little moment there when his name was announced for the starting lineups, he kind of got a surprise ovation from everybody. What was that moment for you as a coach to get to see him kind of get appreciated?
I would clap for him if I was a fan every possession he played. I guess starting or not starting, subbing in the game. They ought to have an ovation when he subs in and subs out. Just everybody clap for him. I'm his biggest fan.
Beyond the points that he scored, what does Wade give you when he's back out there tonight?
Yeah, I think he has unbelievable talent with the ball, without the ball. But personally, I think his greatest talent is his spirit. His greatest talent is his IQ. And so anytime you have those 2 characteristics as a quarterback, I think you impact not only yourself, but you impact the program.
I'm sure you were very confident he'd be okay, but just was it a little extra assuring to see him, right off the bat, get involved offensively and then, help with the steal, leads to the bucket for Zoo, just, be an instant contributor instead of having to kind of work his way back into the flow?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking he would need time to work his way back in. I think his presence is felt. If he's healthy, I think he'll be 4.
Was the plan to kind of limit his minutes a little bit, play a little bit less than maybe he usually does, or is that like a rust thing where you're trying to work him a little bit back in?
No, if you're healthy, we're gonna play to win, and so we've been playing 10 guys over 10 minutes a game since all of this started, and I thought all 10 of them really helped us.
How did y'all get so effective, or what y'all do differently, or if anything was done differently in the second half to be so effective defensively? I think, they have 20 shots total?
Yeah, I was a little behind Olin getting to radio. These are the numbers that I would say. We had 4 turkeys, I know, in the first half. We forced 7 turnovers in the first half, and our defensive rebounding percentage was 78%. Those are all really, really good numbers. In the second half, we had 4 more turkeys, and we forced 11 turnovers, and our defensive rebound percentage was about 82%. And so I thought when the ball was on the ground, our plan was excellent. I thought our guys carried that plan out. But I think when the ball was in the air, we were much, much better than statistically, it's the best we've been all season from a defensive rebounding percentage. And so anytime you can get a stop and then finish with the rebound, your numbers are over time gonna trend in a positive way, and I think that's what happened for sure.
You mentioned Wade's spirit and his IQ. What did you see from him during his absence? How did you see him contribute to the team and his attitude while working his way back?
He did all of those same things. His spirit was phenomenal. His spirit was tremendous, and both of those are always the same things. He just didn't have the ball. But the words he was using, the intensity of those words, his emotions, as I mentioned in media availability, I think it was Olin that asked, probably should have sat in my chair more often than I should have in the timeouts. He's really fast twitch brain. not a little bit. I mean, he graduated from Texas A&M in 3 years and never dropped a class. I think he's like ultra smart, just IQ, but his IQ as a player is just as smart.
Offensively, obviously, with Eric leading the charge the last few weeks, was there any, or few games, was there any difference when Wade got on the floor and how you guys kind of operated?
Just adding another really talented player. I think it probably helps everybody. Yeah, I don't think it changes their game per se.
Knowing that it's such a big part of y'all's identity to win the rebounding battle, just to see it won tonight comparatively to the last two games, how good did that feel?
Yeah, similar to I think it was Donna yesterday. When you win, there's a lot of things. When you lose, there's a lot of things. And I think we're pretty versed in diagnosing it and then translating it. And the competitive maturity of our guys is otherworldly. But I think if there was only one thing that I could say is when the ball is in the air, last week we did not do the things that have got us to this point. When Alabama shot it and missed it, they got it back 51% of the time. Well, if you lose by 6 points, but every time they shoot and miss it, they get it back, that's really bad math over time. And some of that same thing is happening to us on the defensive glass at Kentucky, but it's both sides. And so when the ball is in the air, we all have distinct responsibilities, no matter which team shot it. And if there was only one thing I could say from last week's games that I would choose that hurt us the most, it would be that. And transparently, that is all we have worked on since then. And there was a career high night as a team from a defensive rebounding standpoint. We did not accrue our average from an offensive rebounding standpoint, but it was significantly better on both sides than either of the games last week.
You had said before this season that one thing you wanted to avoid this year was a lull during the season. You came into this one losing back-to-back games for the first time all year. Just how critical was it to, get back in the win column and not let it snowball again, even though there's a long way to go?
Yeah, I think just trying to stay in the moment. I think 2 quad 1A games, 3 games against top 20 teams, 2 of those 3 on the road in a 6-day span. That's not Texas A&M. Every team is going to encounter that in this league because that's what the league is. And the other thing in that, not to negate the talent or the coaches of the previous 2 opponents, but similar to what you mentioned that I said prior to the season, I think some of pick whichever lull you want to talk about. Beat Tennessee here last year by 16, lose 5 games in a row. Lose to Wofford on December the 21st, and you're 6-5, and then you go 15-3. Somewhere in there was an 8-game losing streak, and we play out of our minds to completely flip it. We lose those 5 games in a row, and I think we had 5 games left last year at Georgia, and that was after South Carolina beat us here on a 1-possession game. I think you probably have to win every one of those regular season games. You probably have to win SEC tournament game number 1. You can argue you probably need to win SEC tournament game number 2. And then when we lost in the semifinals, I think we had played in the finals the previous 2 years. We lost in the semifinals last year. And the first person not associated with our program that I trust said, Buzz, you probably need to get ready for Dayton. And I didn't respond because I have a lot of respect for the person that told me that. And so fly home. But before we flew home, I kicked everybody out of the locker room except the players and told them what that guy told me so that we would emotionally be prepared. And so The reason I said that to you guys in media day in October was that's what I've been talking to all of our returning players about. How can we learn from all of those hard things that we lived through, and how can that apply to us, not based on a result, but how can that apply to us on a day-to-day basis? The emotion that comes with this and the roller coaster of results, if we ride that roller coaster, we've already rode that roller coaster before. And the thing about a roller coaster is where you get on, you get off at the same spot. And so how can we on a daily basis continue to find ways to improve and be receptive of the work that's required to do that?
You guys held them scoreless for 6:23 in the middle of the second half, kind of pushed the lead out. In that stretch, what kind of happened? Had you guys just worn them down to the point where you were able to take over, or did the guys just kick it up a notch, or how did that come about?
I think I am familiar with most of that timing. The one thing that I would say is we probably didn't foul. 16 out of their 57 points. I don't know what's the percentage of that. 25% of the possessions we fouled, but I don't know what percentage of that is their points. But that's a high number. So if there was that stretch, and I know most of what you're talking about, it means that we were defending, we were not fouling, and when they shot it, we got the rebound. And our propensity to foul was another thing that was a problem for us last week, and even a little bit tonight, I thought.
Buzz, how huge was that sequence? The missed free throws that y'all offensive rebounded, turned into CJ3, and then Solo had the tip in. Just how big was that as a turning point in the game?
Yeah, Coach Rock is in charge of free throw blockouts, no matter which team is shooting them. That's a special team bucket that he fills, and our guys have incredible relationships with him, and they can even imitate him maybe better than they can me. And it's somewhat comical when somebody else imitates somebody besides me, but his plan and teaching in that is extraordinary. Like, we show clips of that when we do rebounding effort clips, because you just know that no matter where you play, you should anticipate it's going to be a one-possession game. And free throw blockouts, I think Kentucky got one against us. That one possession matters, no matter who's shooting it.